There are times when only the heartbeat of a man tells us feels.
This is Rebel 6, request dust off. Dust off, over. This is Rebel 6, request dust off. Request dust off.
More than 6,000 times last month, this call was heard and answered across the jungles, mountains, and rice paddies of Vietnam.
Dust off 3-1. Dust off 3-1.
This is the story of a handful of wounded and a handful of the 150,000 men and women whose only job it is to save the lives of men, if need be, at the cost of their own. Central Vietnam, and a province believed vital for the security of Saigon. After many days of quiet, ominous sniping, our position is threatened. The patrol has been ambushed and is tied down. This is a war fought on the ground by troops brought in and out by helicopter, for we control only the land we stand upon. The front, as it has been understood in other wars, is where you are facing at the moment.
Is Dynamite 5-2, request dust off.
Dust off is a call for help. It was the call signal of the first commander of a helicopter detachment. Since he was killed in action, it has become the universal cry for an air ambulance.
3 letters. The type of injury is urgent, shrapnel wounds. They will identify with smoke. The area is insecure.
Okay, Coach, bring the map out with you. Yankee uniform.
Right here.
144 073.
Right here.
Okay.
These are men of the 283rd Air Medical Detachment. And, as is the practice when an engagement is mounted, they are in the field as close to the action as possible. Marcelino Burgos, Specialist 5, Brooklyn, New York. Chief Warrant Officer T.C. Gibson, Jr., Philadelphia, Mississippi. Specialist 5, William Nelson, Colorado Springs, Colorado. Captain Bill Colbert, Knoxville, Tennessee. This is mission number 404. Tuned to our radio frequencies, the Viet Cong can and do imitate our procedures, ambushing our rescuers. It isn't until the helicopter is within rifle range that its crew can be certain who awaits them. And they are further disarmed. Since they exhibit the Red Cross, they may carry weapons only for the protection of their patients, not for themselves.
I want to tell them back there, Burgos, we're going to have to switch because they have mass casualties up here. And we got to get up there and get them.
Roger, sir. Got 4 west. I got to check this out. I think I may have a unit in there now. This is Mustang 3-3. Get off the air for approximately 02. We have a dust-off in progress. They're on this push. Out. Bobcat Bravo 5, dust-off 3-1, over.
This is Bravo 5, Roger, we can hear you now, over.
Roger, I'm above the clouds at this time. I have an APC with a panel marker on it at this time. If you could confirm that it is one of yours, we'll come down through a hole, over.
This is Bravo 5, we prefer to use smoke. We've got quite a few down here with markers on, over.
Roger, how much enemy contact did you have prior to our arriving, over?
We've had sporadic contact all morning, over.
Roger, what's the best direction of approach into your area, over?
This is Bravo 5, suggest you come in from the southwest. Do not go in the area to our northeast, over.
Roger, that's about where we are at this time. Go ahead and throw a smoke now, and I'll see if I can pick it out, over.
This is Bravo 5, we'll go, over. This is Bravo 5, have you located our smoke, over?
down through a hole, so if you could keep smoke in the area until we locate it, we'd appreciate it. Over. Roger, we have purple smoke. Is that affirmative?
This is Bravo 5. That's affirmative. Over.
Roger. Keep smoke in the LZ at all times. We'll be approaching low level. Over.
This is Bravo 5. Roger. We've got you located. Go ahead and come in from the southwest now. Over.
Don't drive yet. Keep moving. Move. Run it again if you don't. Let's go. Go down there. Move. Okay, be close to him. Your head down.
Got some fire. Coming up. Bravo 5, we're taking a little fire back here when it's picked up. Going right through it.
Okay. That was close.
3-1, Bravo 5. This is Bravo 5. I understand. Second letter from top, broken back. Which one is the emergency? Over.
One on the bottom.
Bravo 5. Roger. Out.
The young mother's daughter was shot while quietly riding a bicycle with her father on a public lane in a little village in the warm sun of a beautiful day. She will be dead in an hour. Four members of this family have died this afternoon between noontime and dinner. Captain Lloyd J. Eason, ROTC, who was a pharmacist and was, before he became an executive officer, the manager of a Fairway drugstore in Woodburn, Oregon. And the work here is different.
thumbs up. Also, can you send one of the dispatcher boxes to the dust-off pad in approximate correction to the night-off pad in approximately 10 minutes? There will be a Hotel 13 coming in with a patient aboard, over.
Roger, 3-1 is on his way.
581 055. The element call sign on the ground will be Alpha, Mustang Alpha 5. They'll throw a smoke for you. Over.
Mustang Alpha 5, dust off 3-1, over.
5, over.
Roger, it's 3-1. We should be in your location at about 02. Could you throw smoke for us now, over?
Mustang Alpha 5, roger, over. This Mustang Alpha 5, we're throwing one now, over. Color is red, over.
Roger, I have the red smoke. We're making approach in now.
Come on, let's go now. Easy, easy.
Cyclone 6-5, just off 3-1.
6-5, go.
Be on your pad in 4 minutes. We have the 2 patients on board. One has a gunshot, one in the leg. The other one has a gunshot, one in the back.
Dennis Aldrich, while performing his daily chores as a foot soldier, stepped upon a claymore mine. A metallic fragment entered his left flank. It shattered his spleen, destroyed part of his kidney, went into and is lodged in the left upper lobe of his left lung. 16 minutes later, he is here.
Blood over here. Hey, hook up that blood. Come on, let's go, Ron.
Come on, people. Come on.
He cannot be given an anesthetic and live.
Probably get them right in there. Somebody got that big needle on that syringe for me?
I need oxygen. You don't care how you do it. Get in here. 18 gauge needle.
Brought in during the same engagement, a Viet Cong shares the operating room.
Got breath sounds up to here.
The prognosis for both these young men is questionable.
We can try one more time on it down. How many we got over it? How many curler? See if we can break fast and curler. How many blanket? Let's go. Come on, people. Clear the line. Clear.
For some, the prognosis is no longer in question. Piteously, there are those who fall, and we cannot make them rise. Dennis Aldrich's wounds are stabilized so he can continue his journey. For those who live, this is stage one of several stages in the concept that if a man is hit in this unwelcomed war, it is as if he were hit on the front steps of a hospital. A hospital. Doctors, nurses, medication, all stretching in a continuous comforting bandage 9,000 miles to his own bed. For Dustoff 31, mission 404 is done. 405, 406, 407, 609, 1,098 are all ahead of them for as many numbers as men can count, for as long as they are needed. In Saigon, in a remodeled and guarded apartment building, are the headquarters of the Far Eastern Joint Medical Regulating Office. It is staffed by the Navy, the Army, and the Air Force. It is from here that the life of the casualty is guided to the hospital best equipped to handle his particular injury, to the doctor best prepared to heal him.
Regulating in Saigon. I've got 2 add-on and a change in destination. Aldrich, that's A-L-D-R-I-C-H. Initials, Dennis D-H. Dennis H, that's right. Wound, left back.
From the heart of the injured, through the fingers of the teletype, the world knows a soldier has been struck down. His rank, his condition, his needs are noted. And over the globe, hospitals are alerted. Aircraft are sent to bring them together. The center of this protective network is the briefing room at the Scott Air Force Base in Illinois. Under the command of General Howell M. Estes, Jr., directives go to 100 air bases in 40 countries from these daily sessions.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. There are 33 C-141 missions moving, which include 19 channel traffic, 8 special missions, 4 aerovac, and 2 embassy flights. There is the aerovac on time en route to McGuire, a special mission en route to Bedford, Massachusetts. The Clark to Travis aerovac has been extended to Kelly to airlift an urgent burn patient to the Brooke Army Hospital Burn Center. There are also 32...
Stand by. Surgeon, how about this urgent case en route to Kelly? Is this a serious, very serious condition?
The prognosis looks quite good. He has about 35% burn of the lower extremities and part of his abdomen.
Mm-hmm. Do we have any special medical attendants aboard?
Yes, sir. We have a flight surgeon aboard to attend him.
Good. All right.
There are also 32 litter patients and 26 ambulatory on board destined for hospitals in the southwestern United States. An aerovac inbound to Washington, the Clark aerovac on schedule en route to Hickam. The Saigon aerovac, now en route to Washington, is carrying 12 litter and 22 ambulatory patients. And the mission en route to Hickam has 16 litter and 24 ambulatory patients.
Stand by 1. Surgeon, since we started that direct run from Saigon up over the northern route into Andrews, have we had any particular expressions from the patients as to whether any of those legs are too long for them, Is their medical condition being affected by the longer legs on that run?
No, sir, their condition is not affected, and they're overjoyed to get to their destination rapidly.
Fine. Okay.
All route wind factors in both the Atlantic and Pacific are near normal today. Scattered thunderstorm activity also throughout the Philippines, with rain showers at most of the island stations. Visibilities will be restricted to 1/2 mile in fog at Taipei. Visibilities will also be restricted to a 1/2 mile in fog in the Yokota-Tachikawa area between 1800 and 2200 Zulu today.
Weather, can you expect any abnormal degree of turbulence for that flight?
Negative, sir. All our reports indicate only light turbulence along that route.
The turbulence that concerns General Estes is often encountered by aircraft leaving Tan Son Nhut, Saigon's airport, and it is the comfort and well-being of patients like Dennis Aldrich that the General and his staff wish to assure. In the weeks since we have seen Specialist 4 Aldrich, he has been to several hospitals. The 3rd Surgical Hospital, the 97th Evacuation, and finally he has just left the 377th. All this for surgery to repair the considerable damage he had sustained. Yet there is more to be done. And in the policy of taking the patient to the doctor rather than the other way around, Dennis is arriving in the Clark Air Base Hospital in the Philippine Islands. Waiting for him is Dr. Lewis Patterson, the noted chest surgeon. It is his turn to examine the arrivals, check their condition, and assign them for further treatment. Every facility, every ounce and touch of kindness and skill is to be expended on their rehabilitation. There is barely a moment when they are permitted to forget this.
What's your name? Shiburi. What's that? Shiburi. Spell? How long ago were you shot?
Last night.
Last night. Last night. Okay. Feeling pretty good? Take the trip all right? Okay. You'll be going to Ward 12.
Can't help but feel some apprehension about, are we going to be able to manage these boys? It's going to be a problem we haven't met with before. And even though we've had a plane a day now for a year or so, you just can't help but feel that there's a new challenge. Well, Dennis Aldrich received a metallic fragment wound of the left flank, and he's one of the boys that's very lucky to be alive. When he got here, our x-ray showed this retained large metallic fragment in the left upper lobe. It is our policy to remove these fragments because we know that when they have a metallic fragment of this size in their lung that they are going to get into trouble sooner or later. The injuries in this war are different than previous wars from one aspect, and that is the velocity of the missiles. The M14 rifle, for example, is much faster than the missiles of the previous wars. And this imparts an awful lot of energy as it passes through the body, killing tissues at quite some distance from the actual path of the missile. Yeah. So the very first patient that I lost of a pure chest injury came in here and within 24 hours in bad respiratory distress. His whole right lung was practically destroyed. And I did an operation on him, at which time I had to make a decision. Should I take out his whole right lung and leave him a cripple for the rest of his life, or shall I attempt to mend the remaining lung? I chose, as turned out wrongly, to attempt to mend his right lung. He got a bad empyema and died. This type of thing just, you'll never forget that type of patient. Yet, on the other hand, this made me work all the harder on saving lungs. And we have quite a series since then of successful primary repairs of wounded lungs. No, I guess you just like. When you really stand back and have time to stop and think, it's just such a tremendous waste of human lives and human limbs, and so much suffering involved. My only hope is that it's worth it all.
For the sick, nights are 1 year long, and dawn a welcome friend. With a light morning breeze comes the hope that this day will be better than the last. It is 3 days since Dr. Patterson went exhausted from his operating room, having met the challenge, which in all our hospitals has resulted in returning 99% of our casualties to life. These first unaided steps are a quiet victory for all those who have held Dennis' future in their hands. Though the journey is not over for this battered boy, he is on his way.